Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Springs. I am your host, Ryan Lowry. Thank you so much for tuning in. This episode was recorded on November 7th at the Gold Room at the Wyndham Grand Hotel right here in Colorado Springs, where I had a chance to catch up with Denver comedian Stephen Agyei. Before jumping into my conversation with Stephen, I did want to congratulate the folks at the Gold Room for putting together a terrific show. This was the first stand-up comedy show hosted at the Gold Room here in downtown Colorado Springs, and they did a wonderful job. It's a beautiful space, and I'm really looking forward to catching other shows there in the near future. In fact, they already have a second stand-up comedy show booked for Wednesday, November 19th, with headliner Spencer James. Spencer recently won the 2014 World Series of Comedy in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hoping to have Spencer on the show when he's in town, so please look forward to that episode later this month. Also wanted to thank Tim McKenna, who was the promoter and producer of this inaugural comedy show at the Gold Room. So, without further ado, please sit back and enjoy, because comedian Stephen Agyei is in the Springs. All right, man. Well, this is very casual.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming in. Stephen Agyei.
Yes, my name.
And I know we've met before.
We have.
So my first question is, I did a little bit of research, and you won a clean comedy contest up in Denver.
I did.
Now, I just finished watching your set at the Gold Room here in Colorado Springs.
Completely opposite.
That wasn't clean, my friend.
Mm-mm.
So tell me what was that all about?
That was in 2012. It was the first Comedy Works Clean Comedy Contest, and everybody knew me as the comic you saw, dirtier comic, and it was one of those things that I was like, I can be clean, I can figure it out for 5 minutes, like, come on. And I kind of took it as a challenge because everyone's like, oh, Steve, you're doing the clean comedy contest, Steve? Why? You're going to... And so
did you write 5 minutes of brand new material, or did you just modify the material that you already had?
I probably wrote 2 minutes of new, about two and a, it was actually half. It was 2.5 new, and then we actually did 6-minute sets. So I did 2.5 new, and then the rest I modified of some other stuff that's not, super dirty. And
no kidding.
Yeah, made it work.
So the first time you performed that 2 or 3 new minutes of clean comedy was at the contest?
No.
Were you able to workshop it a little bit at open mics?
Yeah, I worked it a little bit at open mics,
okay.
And I kind of just had a feeling of some things that I was like, I know this is going to work.
Yeah.
And then it worked out fantastically. It was great. I mean, the shows were great, and they sent me to the Great American Comedy Festival in Norfolk, Nebraska.
Yeah.
John Carson Theater. So it was great.
Oh, that's terrific.
Finals,
and how did that go? How was that experience? Because I had a chance to do that in, I want to say 08, 09, something like that.
Okay.
Didn't do well from a contest standpoint, but just the experience was fantastic.
Yeah, the experience was great. I had a great set. Didn't win, but my set was like, from what everybody was saying, it was like, if it wasn't you, like, one of the top ones. So I was like, top 2. I was like, well, I'll take that. It's a good run, and it was just something for myself anyway. I was like, well, this isn't even my thing.
Right.
Clean. And I was like, so.
Because that was clean as well, right?
That had to be clean. That TV clean, yeah.
So now how does that, I hate the word artist because it just sounds sort of pretentious, but from an artistic standpoint, there's that intersection of art and commerce where you want to express yourself as an individual, as an artist.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're trying to make a living as a comedian, oftentimes when you go down that clean road, that's going to open up some more doors. Have you thought about that from kind of a career standpoint, that I'm going to really focus on the clean comedy so I can do corporate work, I can do, bigger shows, that, the Jim Gaffigan type route?
Not necessarily. I haven't, because I know when you're funny enough, it doesn't matter what you're doing. They're going to pay to see you corporate or not. Like Chris Rock doesn't, I know a lot of corporates. So I think it's, for me, everything with comedy, you want to be happy. You don't want to do something just for the money. And that's where I kind of have that battle with a lot of comics who just want to get paid immediately and just want the money. And it's like, if you don't love this completely and will do it for free, like, how can you expect to get to the level that you need to make the money that you want to, you know? Otherwise, I feel like a lot of people pigeonhole themselves early into doing one-nighters and just bad shows that pay just because they want the money, and they're shitty one-nighters, and they end up doing hacky material, and then they leave for a while. It happens in Denver. There's some people who do that, and they leave for a while and go on the road. They come back to Denver, and they get up with their like hacky-ish material, and everybody's like, that's not.
Yeah.
And then somebody who's local, who's been working, and gets up and just destroys, and they're like, wow, where did I go wrong? You know, it's like, yeah, you were getting paid to do that, but you weren't getting any better. You weren't growing as a comic. So
it definitely feels like that, the integrity of as a comedian, that more so than any other art form, because it's you on stage. You're not hiding behind an instrument. You're not hiding behind vocals.
Yeah.
And so that integrity of having, to live with yourself and getting up and doing comedy that is true to you, but still resonates with an audience, where it doesn't, isolate people, or it doesn't exclude people.
Definitely. Yeah, I always think it's good to build your fan base based on who you are and what you like and what you like to talk about. Because otherwise, you're people pleasing, and then you're just doing stuff that you really hate doing, like going to a job that you don't like. Like if you hate McDonald's, you hate flipping burgers and cooking, and then you're like, oh, I gotta go there and cook, and but they're paying. Why? You don't have to do. You don't have to do that. You can do something else. You can go to Office Max and do something else. But
yeah. Now, when did you make the decision that this is how you're going to make a living? Or have you reached that decision? I mean, is that something, are you still, so this is where it's at?
It's definitely, yeah.
Because you're relatively new to the scene, 4 years,
yeah,
4.5 years, something
just
like that?
Just over 4 years.
Yeah, that's definitely a good run, but.
Yeah. So it is relatively new. And, I think, honestly, after my first time on stage, I knew, I was like, okay, that went well. There's people making money doing this. I need more.
Now tell me about that. Tell me about your first time on stage. What was the situation, and what caused you to get up on stage that first time?
It's funny. I went to CU Boulder, and I was running track, and I decided to quit track. I was like, I'm tired of running track. I'm tired of pulling my hamstring. I'm tired of all these practices. Like, hey, man. And I was tired of getting tired.
Right.
Run around this damn circle. And so I quit track, and at the time I was doing music. I was rapping, and I wanted to focus on that. And so I quit, and then a couple weeks later, I told one of my friends, Brandon, I was like, man, I've been wanting to try stand-up, man. I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy. And I kid you not, maybe 3 days later, I get a call from Brandon. It's 2 or 3 in the afternoon. He's like, hey, I'm on the hill in Boulder, and I see this sign for an open mic comedy. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. So you going to do it? And I was like, yeah. So he sent me the information. I signed up, and I'll never forget those. It was like 5 days leading up to the show. All I did was watch stand up. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna say.
Now, were you writing material, or were you just trying to formulate stuff, just in your head, or were you actually putting pen to paper?
I was actually putting pen to paper, and I was watching Chris Rock's special. I was watching. This is something I watched,
which could be dangerous.
It could be.
You end up going on stage as Chris Rock.
Exactly. So. And some of that, if I watched the video, I could see some of that went the first time. And but I also Bernie Mac's second Def Jam performance.
Okay.
It's one of the hottest sets in, I think, the history. Is hottest 6-minute sets. It's just so powerful.
Yeah.
He has DJ synced with and everything. I watched that probably 50 times, and I could not stop laughing. I was like, how is he doing it? And I was just thinking of all these ideas and putting these things together, and I got up and tried to tell these jokes, and it actually went really well.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun. And then I knew from then, I was like, I finally did it.
Yeah.
And this is what I've been waiting for.
So then what was the next step at that point? Because the comedy world is, everything from a coffee house to comedy clubs to theaters. How did you get sort of ingratiated with the comedy scene, either in Boulder or Denver or Colorado? I mean, what was the connections that you made and moving forward?
What I did from there, I actually Googled. I looked up for open mics. And so my second time on stage, I went to was an anything open mic at the Mercury Cafe. I'll never forget this either because we showed up.
So this is music, poetry, the whole night?
Everything. And I show up with my friend Evan. He comes, and there's some piano players. There's some guy walking around in a wizard costume. And I'm like, are we sure this is the right place? And it gets time for me to go up. This guy who just played the piano and sang with his wife went before me, right? And I was like, oh, that's real cute. And I get up and start telling some jokes, and it was silent.
Now, were you going blue? Were you doing your raw kind of material? Or?
I was doing, I had these 40-year-olds, 40-something-year-olds, like, had no idea. Right. This young 21 just cussing and singing and saying shit, and they're like, and the guy before, he was like, I said some joke, and then he booed.
Oh, no.
I was like, boo. And I started talking about him and his wife for like 30 seconds, and then everybody erupted. And I was like, okay, that was funny.
Now, was this your second time on stage?
Yeah, this was.
And you went out into the crowd. You were doing some crowd work.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do. Like, I just froze, and then after that, I tried to go back to material. Back to silence.
No way.
Yeah. And then so at that point, I was like, well, I guess that's it.
Now, do you incorporate more crowd work into your routine typically, or do you have a pretty set list that you're working from?
Yeah, I don't go into the crowd typically. I will sometimes play around. Usually in my closer, I'll go into the crowd just because it's kind of an engaging thing. It's
gotcha.
The thing about if someone would suck a dick for $1 million. And it's
real family-friendly stuff.
Yeah, real family-friendly stuff, 2 p.m. in the afternoon after school, kids having the snacks and thinking about dicks. And so
now this is going on PBS, right? So
I hope so. I've been trying to crack into the little 12-year-old crowd and have a theater full of me and Bill. I'm just kidding. I'm not even going to go that route.
Not even close.
But yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I don't go in typically. I just kind of just go off where I'm going, my set, just how I feel, and just roll off that.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now as you as a person, as far as your background, you're from Denver.
I am from Denver.
Brothers and sisters, and
I got 2 brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. My older brother is a free agent in the NFL. Actually, he went to like the Bengals mini camp and stuff.
No kidding.
Yeah, and my younger brother is actually a high school senior, and
Now, do they have any aspirations for the entertainment world, or is that a family thing? Do your folks?
No, I think my dad, he wanted to be in music when he was a little younger. I think he kind of regrets some of not like pursuing some of the things, but no, it's just me really. And I have a cousin who does music. My older brother, I know probably has some interest in like TV, like movies, things he could.
Yeah.
He's real silly. He's one of the funnier people I know.
Yeah. And your family's supportive though of this career choice, or are they? I know as a parent myself, you always want to do what's best for your kids, and this is it's a risky world you're going into.
Yeah. I guess they're as supportive as they could be.
Yeah.
My parents have never come to see me do stand up.
You've got to be kidding me, really?
In this foreign,
Now, would that bother you if they did? Would you change your set knowing mom and dad were sitting out there?
No.
No kidding.
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It does. It's a weird thing because I've always felt like it was like in the shadows, like the middle of the shadow, like I felt like I disappeared somehow, like they'll pay attention to the other two, and they'll go to their stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm doing this thing for real. And then my mom and parents would start hearing about some of the accomplishments, whether it's opening for Chappelle or winning contests or doing all types of things. And they're like, oh wow, but still I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's a weird thing. I guess.
And I wonder if that's. I mean, I think that might be a typical reaction because I know certainly when you start doing something like this, it can come across as a hobby.
Definitely.
I'm gonna hit an open mic and then I'm doing a one nighter at this bar. But in terms of it, the amount of effort that goes into getting on stage to do certainly a 30-minute set. I mean, it took. When I was doing it, it took me, 3 years before I felt like I could hold my own for 30 minutes. And so folks don't understand the amount of energy. And I think in this day and age, and I wanted to talk to you about this as well with social media and trying to get noticed and trying to promote yourself. That's a whole nother aspect of it.
Definitely.
That in my mind is harder than the comedy.
Oh, yeah. I think also it could be cultural too. My parents are from Ghana, and so it's a completely different thing for them. So they're like, where's the money? How are you going to support yourself? So maybe it's more just their concern of like, am I going to be able to support myself?
Right.
But yeah, and like you said, the social media thing is like, it's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
There's always the question, do I put stuff out consistently or do I not put anything out until I have that headlining set? Like headlining clubs around the nation, then I start putting clips out. Or do I wait until I get a Comedy Central special? Do I wait for H? So, and a lot of people have different ways because some people get famous off Vine clips, 6-second Vine clips that are funny.
But is that real success? In terms of sustainability, if this is your career, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, you and I are sitting right here and you're a stand-up comedian, that's 6 seconds in my mind. It's so in the moment. It's not a career.
True. But it could open the door to that career.
Yeah.
For the right person, say someone who's been doing comedy, 7, 8, 9 years, or someone who has a headlining set and, a Vine clip goes viral. And now they're on like every media platform. Everybody knows who they are. Then it's like, let's start talking to clubs. And clubs will come to you because they know they can fill seats because people saw that Vine. And they're like, oh, he does stand-up?
Right,
I'm sure. He'd be hilarious because of that clip. And then they'll come, and if you have the set ready, please the people, and then they'll come back.
Yeah. So now, in addition to doing stand-up, do you have other irons in the fire from an entertainment standpoint? Are there other projects that you're pursuing? Or
yeah, I've been doing some commercials and stuff. I was lucky enough. I did the Amazon Films pilot with the Grolix guys in Denver.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
those who can't.
Yeah, those who can't. So I got on a little bit in that, and that was really fun. Like TV would be a really fun thing to do.
Yeah. And I'm going to go on record saying I thought it was bullshit that wasn't picked up.
Especially the popularity. It was like the most popular.
Yeah.
And then they just went with the names.
And that, to me, defeated the whole purpose of that project.
Exactly.
I thought that pilot was so well done. And obviously the guys, the Grolix guys, in my mind, they're kind of on the leading edge of Denver comedy in terms of having all those irons in the fire.
Definitely.
Something's gonna stick.
Something's gonna pop.
Right.
And those guys are great. I mean, Andrew Orbital just had his Tonight Show appearance. Like, that was huge. I think that's gonna help immensely in their, pursuit.
And I think that also helps Denver.
It helps Denver.
That helps you. That helps everybody from that scene.
Definitely.
Not only just from a motivation standpoint that, hey, I worked shoulder to shoulder with this guy and now he's on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I'm next.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So I think that's very encouraging.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, those guys, always great. Ben, Andrew, Adam, guys I look up to for different reasons, for all of them too.
Right.
They all have different styles, and you can learn from something different from each one, and they're all real good people too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. In fact, Ben was kind enough to do the very first episode of this
wow.
podcast that I'm trying to do. He was headlining at Looney's.
Oh, okay.
And just the sweetest guy, so thoughtful.
Ben is really,
Yeah, and I admire those guys. In fact, I remember when I was first starting out, that was sort of the clique in Denver that I was scared to death of.
I was a little intimidated about Andy and Adam. Until one night, I did a set at Comedy Works, and Adam came afterwards. Like, that was really funny, and then he gave me a tag. He's like, you might be able to add this to it, and then I warmed to him, and it took a little bit longer for me to talk to Andy because I didn't see him as much,
right?
Because he has a daughter, and I wasn't around the club as often because I wasn't a regular yet, and. But then, it came time, and he's a great dude. So I love him. He's a great writer. He's one of the best writers in Denver, if not the name.
Well, one thing that I've always felt about the stand-up comedy community in terms of my brief experience is the camaraderie. Despite it being competitive in nature, everybody wants to get that spotlight.
Yeah.
The fact that they gave you a tag, for instance. I know
exactly.
Chuck Roy, he's another one where he's got so much experience. Every time he would open his mouth, I would lean in. It's like he's going to say something I need to hear.
Exactly.
I mean, has that been your experience as well? That
everybody wants everybody to do well,
right?
It's kind of weird. Like in a competitive sense, but it's also, I think a recognition is if somebody else does well, it helps everybody.
Yeah.
Like we're all friends, we're all cool. If you think about it, I think about it all the time. Adam Sandler, for example, in every one of his movies, all of his friends, Schneider, all his friends are in the movies. It's
right.
Like he's got all the same people in these movies.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they're all friends. They're all came up. They had the same idea. If somebody gets something, we all get something.
Right.
It's a good thing to have, I think, career-wise for everyone.
And I think that's an excellent analogy. The Adam Sandler thing. I know Deacon Gray up at Comedy Works. One of the quotes that he used to use is, "High tide raises all boats."
Yeah.
And so I firmly believe that. And whenever you would see somebody, and that's another fun aspect of really being serious about comedy. This is how you're going to make your living. Is seeing your colleagues advance.
Definitely.
And so folks that you were sitting in the Monday night show sweating bullets, and then all at once you see them getting a guest set on Conan or whatever it might be. It's like that's the kind of thing that pushes everybody to do better.
Oh yeah, because it's also one of those things. It's like they just got this. Like we were talking about earlier, I'm next type of thing. And it's like, we can all get those things if we just continue to work,
Right.
And the eyes are on Denver right now. You know?
Well, having said that, tell me a little bit about the time you spent in New York. I understand you were back there it was a year or so ago you went back?
Yeah, I went to New York December 2012 until June 2013.
Okay.
New York was fantastic. I used to get on stage, and I from the start, I just didn't give a fuck. Like, I'd get on stage, and, like, I could just let it come out, and I didn't care. And it's good to do that and so you can grow and just into your own voice. Then I went to New York, and the first couple times I was on stage, I kept trying to do, like, my better sets, try to get recognized and stuff like that. And I can't remember who it was. It's like, dude, we know you're funny. Let's try some shit. And that's when I really stopped giving them.
No kidding.
Yeah, I just really let it all hang out and just tried anything and everything. There's actually this story, one of my friends, Brett Hiker.
I know Brett.
Yeah, Brett. I didn't go to this mic. I'd left and went home early because I had done 2 or 3 before. There was this lady who gets on stage and pulls out her pocketbook and has pictures of her kids. She's wearing a skirt. She pulls up her skirt and starts pointing to her vagina. She's not wearing any panties, and starts screaming, "These kids came out at me." And that was her thing.
What?
And Brett told me that, and I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, what did everybody do? He said some people were mad. But in that same sense, I was like, nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
Everybody's just trying
That's
to
what
get
you got out of that.
I was like, everybody, not the fact that she's fucking a lunatic.
Right.
I got nobody
Just
cares.
relax.
Try something. You might stumble upon a great bit. Unfortunately for her, I don't think that one's going to HBO or anything. But she tried.
She
definitely tried.
Oh, that's so great.
But New York was great, man. The energy in the city is fantastic. I did a lot of things with some guys. John Laster, he was a great dude who took me around and plugged me into some things. He's actually from Denver, but he moved out there and started his comedy career out there 17, 18 years ago. Yeah. And, man, he's really funny. And, he linked me with some people, and I got to do some really cool things, man.
So did it feel like that, that kind of worked that muscle where you were able to get some stage time that made you a better comedian?
Oh, definitely. And especially, too, because some of the mics there were a lot shorter of times. It was like 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like, be funny now. And you see that in some mics where it's just like, oh, you get like 5 or 7 minutes in Denver, and people will just waste time for 5 minutes, and then they'll have like one thing that's ready to try. And so what it got you to do is like, okay, if this isn't ready to try, it's like, let's trim the fat. And it's like, where's the joke in here? And it really taught me like, just attack, and because if you can be funny fast, man, that helps so much. Yeah. Especially if you're a headliner, It's like, you got 45 minutes, get them on my side now.
Right.
Anything, any amount of time, just get them on my side now. Now I can do whatever.
Yeah.
They understand me,
Well, yeah, and down the line, from a set standpoint, that gives you so much more leeway.
Oh, yeah.
To play around a little bit or to make some mistakes or to have that dead time if you do start hot like that.
Exactly. So, yeah, I love New York. It was, I tried to get a full-time job there so I can stay longer, but geez.
Now, any plans to relocate out of the Colorado area, or is this going to be home base for you moving forward?
I'm going to be here for a little bit, but I do want to go to L.A. I do want to go to L.A. I honestly kind of want to go to New York again, too. Yeah. So maybe I'll have a home base here and maybe just fly out back and forth everywhere. But, I mean, L.A., I want to do some TV and some movies and things like that. But, I'd like to give it a shot at some point.
Now, what advice would you give an up-and-coming comedian? Because you're in a position now where you've had a pretty high level of success very quickly, and I think a lot. No, I mean that's true, man. I mean, Comedy Works, and I think any comedian would agree it's one of the premier clubs in the country.
A great club, yeah.
And so the fact that you're getting stage time, that you won the Clean Comedy Contest, you had second place in the New Faces contest. I mean, I know. In and of itself, that may not mean anything from a gig standpoint, but certainly it shows that you've got the chops. You can stand on that stage and you can hold your own. And so having sort of that fast track to where you're at now, what advice would you give somebody who, and I'm sure you get this all the time actually, somebody coming up and say, "Man, I want to do comedy. What should I do?"
Don't. What I would say, man, for anyone who wants to do comedy, really ask yourself why. I would spend some time asking yourself why first. Why do you want to do comedy? Is it because you saw Kevin Hart is making a bunch of money right now? Or is it because you really enjoy making people laugh or talking to people and making people think about things in different ways?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you have that love and that passion in there, nothing else matters. The money won't matter. You can make your bills and have $30 extra to live for the month, and you can be the happiest guy in the world. If this is really what you love, if that's your passion, So I would say just ask yourself why, and then just get on stage and just keep trying stuff, and don't stop trying stuff.
Yeah.
And the growth will continue.
Man, you're an old soul. That's a very wise outlook on life in general, but certainly on stand-up comedy. If you're going into it for the wrong reasons, it's not going to end well for you.
Yeah, definitely. That's always a weird thing because I've heard that so many times where people say I'm an old soul, and I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's how I've been, and it's hard for me to like recognize it as a little more. But I actually do now that the older I'm starting to get, the more I'm starting to not be able to put up with some of the younger people or even people my age. Like I find myself having friends that are like 50 and 60 and 40s, and I'm like, these are people I can talk to and vibe with and understand.
Right. And
then there's people who are my age I can talk to for a little bit. Then I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, I think there's a maturity in a perspective that it certainly sounds that way, that you've got that mentality, and I think that regardless of what you end up doing, whether it's stand-up comedy or selling insurance, if you've got that mentality, if you don't love it, don't do it.
Yeah.
And if you do love it, everything's going to take care of itself.
Definitely. And I hope it's never insurance. I hope that never.
Right.
Jeez,
right.
If I start selling insurance, somebody just creep into my office,
grab that tie and start pulling.
Yeah, put a banana in my booty, and try to just knock everything loose. My prostate, I don't care. Kill me. No, but I don't know why banana in booty. I don't know why I went there.
Excellent, man. Well, AJ, I appreciate you taking some time out, man. Certainly, if you have any plugs, or where can folks find you online if they're looking to track you down and check you out live, which, by the way, I would highly recommend. The Gold Room here in Colorado Springs. It's the first night that they've done comedy there.
Yeah.
And I think they had a really receptive crowd, and it sounded like you had a really solid set, man. It was a lot of fun to listen to it.
It was fun. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. You can Facebook, Stephen Agyei, Stephen, and then AJ is actually Agyei.
And I'll have that link on the blog too.
Right on. Also Twitter, you can find me at Twitter at Stephen Agyei1. Or no, is it just Stephen Agyei? Like, I don't even know my own Twitter handle, people. Find me at Comedy Works, Denver Improv, Looney's Comedy Corner in the Springs. Just follow my Facebook, and I post shows all the time. So, yeah.
Excellent, man. Well, all the best to you. I do appreciate it.
Same to you, man. I hope you come back.
All right, thanks.
All right, man. Thanks.
And then the